So I haven't uploaded in 3 weeks, and the 2 main commentary videos I'm working on will likely not be released until a few days to next week or the week after. So I made this video in order to have something to post until I can finish them. With that being said, let's get on to why every BFDIA contestant got out, where I try to explain why each BFDIA contestant has been eliminated thus far.
Well, if you don't like it, you can go eliminate yourself.
He was on a team of 3 alongside Pin and Coiny, 2 Season 1 veterans. Plus, people already had bad first impressions of him when he got into a literally heated argument with Pencil after he tried splitting her and Match to balance the teams.
Dora, why don't you go explore the TLC?
She was a non-object, which is a contributing factor, if not the main factor as to why she and Yellowface were in the top 3 for votes. She also didn't really do anything noteworthy in the previous 2 episodes other than dig. So yeah.
Any first words, Teardrop? That's what I thought.
I think we all know the reason for this. The voting was rigged against her. However, it's unlikely that she would have stayed regardless. She was against Coiny, Needle, and Pin, all of whom were becoming really popular around this time, and were also eliminated fairly early. I mean, she was also eliminated fairly early, and before Coiny too, but the point still applies.
Goodbye, Match! Your elimination will be beneficial for our team!
Partly because of what she was doing in the second challenge, but mainly because she was starting to become meaner and meaner, especially in BFDIA 4, insulting Tennis Ball's death, and not even being grateful when Gelatin saved her life. And to be honest, she was never the most liked out of her friend group. In fact, she was one of the most hated. Not just in her alliance, but in the entire show.
All this time, it's been mine to spin, and mine to spin alone.
I think we all know the reason for this. Squared. She was the most popular contestant up to that point, winning the prize vote every time. Because of this, the thought of spinning the wheel again made her crazy, and she threw all her chances away in hopes of spinning another one.
You greedy bastard!
Okay, now with BFDIA 6 onwards, there are way more fans voting in this season, and a majority of those fans begin to factor events that have never even happened in the timeline yet. That and the whole because they have teapot argument starts playing a role here. So, we'll be starting off with...
Keep those neck muscles extended!
He dig. He dry a few times. And, yeah, losing his barf kinda screwed him. Plus, he's not a liked character now when compared to 10 years ago.
Curse you, tennis ball!
Both for timeline's sake,
And then we competed again and I didn't get a prize
but mainly because he already won the first season and people did not want him winning another one.
You do not know anything!
People did not like his hatred for the color purple, some of them going so far as to comparing it to IRL racism, which is definitely a stretch. I love both colors, so I don't know how to feel about this.
Can you keep the secret from the weird speaker box, though? He scares me.
Okay, now future events are starting to be factored here. Gelatin got second place in BFB, which basically means your chances of getting far in other seasons will get shot down.
Spongy. No offense, but no one cared.
He's been a disliked character ever since BFB 14 came out, despite his actions in that episode being relatively justified. Plus, some people did not like his sudden hostility towards Coiny, even though that's also justified as well.
Orders! I want revenge!
People voted for her since they thought the voting was rigged in her favor because it was projected that she'd be eliminated in BFDIA 11. Well, newsflash, the Bringing Back Dislikes API only shows the dislikes from everyone else who had the plugin, and then some. That and because she was also the least popular one on her team, so there's that as well.
Now my chances of winning went from 9.09 per repeating percent to 0.000%.
She was kinda cooked, especially given her reputation as a bossy and relatively mean contestant. Looking at all the other options, it seemed unlikely she would make it far. The only real competitor she had was Bomby, but that was largely due to others voting him off because of the phrase, "Every time your team has been up for voting, you won the prize." This line always attracts a wave of spiteful votes against him. Coiny and Pin obviously needed to survive to continue their arc, while Fries was still riding the wave of popularity that came from the last 2 episodes of BFDIA at the time. Tennis Ball was also considered one of the season's highlights. That and because for a few episodes, she was glued to a tree, which numbered her days ever since that happened.
Please, 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 can I see in the game, please, please?
She was directly responsible for shrinking Pin in BFDIA 12, and people got bored of the whole Ruby sister gag real quick. As for her rival, Book, she fought Eva Leafy to save her friends, and always played fair and never treated Pin the way the other Breeze-Smarters did.
Every time your team has been up for voting with you, you've won the prize.
Like I mentioned during Golf Ball section, he was cooked ever since this line was spoken. Even if that line wasn't spoken, look at everyone else he was up against and tell me who would have survived. Maybe against Nickel, but other than him, he was pretty much screwed.
You're in for a world of hurt.
By this episode, everyone left in the game is at their peak, and out of all of them, she was simply the least popular. That and because post-IDFB Pencil absolutely demolished most of her would-be fanbase. In fact, she was getting lots of votes in post-hiatus BFDIA eliminations because Pencil voters took into consideration her present self.
Well, I just know I'm going to win.
Nickel is wrong.
Same reason as Pencil. Everyone left in the game is at their peak, and out of all of them, he was simply the least popular. That and because he's blamed for causing the events of TPOT 15. Now that we've finished with the 16 already eliminated contestants, it's time for part 3 of this video. Here's why I think any of the 6 remaining BFDIA contestants could leave, in random order, starting off with...
Keep inventing devices. That's how you can win this for the both of us.
I feel like by this point, Golfball's last words to Tennis Ball before being eliminated have lost its effect by this point in the game. I mean, TB has been creating gadget after gadget after gadget since her elimination in every challenge. And while he's certainly the smartest competitor left in BFDIA and even apologizes when he causes harm, I believe this isn't enough to help him survive. What Tennis Ball's doing now is honestly among the worst types of attitudes to have in a competition, especially when considering the standards and sportiness level expertness of BFDIA. In addition, he often ends up winning the prize vote, which has been shown to be fatal in cases like Bomby. I wrote this before I found out the votes were rigged. This next contestant will take a while, but please hear me out on this part. This one's quite obvious. People just hate nuanced characters. Because, like, as much as I love Fruit Smart, Pin's actions against the team were justified. She lost her face and size by their hands and stole her song to win the challenge, even if it didn't end well for them. However, that was a remix, which prompts a whole different debate regarding the ethics of that. Everything after her whole get back in BFDIA 14 was simply her taking her victory laps, which would be hypocritical of me to judge. Now, with BFDIA 18, people hate her for 3 new reasons: an undeserved win, betraying Coiny, and killing Book. Well, first, she did deserve the win, as it's her first time doing so without being carried by Coiny. Speaking of Coiny, I get that he did all this stuff for her, but after he did this, and decided to throw away a pretty much guaranteed win to recover Pin, the betrayal is to be expected. Besides, she said it herself.
If you were trying to win, then you shouldn't have recovered me.
What?
As for killing Book, I actually can't defend this. She most likely did it because she's still extremely petty about Book not swinging with her, but it could also be because she was solely focused on trying to win the challenge, and Book was simply in her way. Regardless of what you think, she's got the fan bases of both Free Smart and Wobunch preying on her downfall.
I dug to the center of the earth for you!
Once Pin, inevitably, leaves, I think Coiny will lose an at least notable chunk of backing, as some people likely only want him to stay now to see how Coinpin would develop after her betrayal. This, and because he's already set a precedent for himself, risking elimination the more he throws the challenge for Pin. I do think this is unlikely, however, because he's still one of, if not the most popular BFDIA contestant, especially because BFDIA is his peak season, so he's more likely than not making it to the finale. Also, watch this video. The maker does clarify that it is an interpretation of his character, but I do think more people should see this. She's by far the kindest contestant left in BFDIA, which already grants her tons of support. She's also been working very hard to win challenges, just for everything to go wrong in the end, usually by Pin. In fact, as a BFDIA 18, Book has had the longest losing streak overall at 5, beating out the OG Cherries, Season 1 Tennis Ball, and Death Pact yet again, all of whom were at 4. I genuinely think that once she finally wins a challenge, it'll likely be game over for her, as it's the only notable thing keeping her in the game. But out of everyone left, she can definitely win over Pin, and has the potential to survive over Fries and Tennis Ball, maybe even Needle to reach the finale. But she's probably not going to be able to defeat Coiny, unless the finale is a challenge rather than voting. Besides, sympathy points shouldn't be why anyone wins a season. And no, the writers do not hate Book. They just haven't given her a win because she doesn't attract crazy amounts of dislikes like Fries or Pin.
That is absolutely, unforgivably, insurmountably, beyond unacceptable!
This one hurts to say, but he's probably not making it past 4th. The popularity boosts received from episodes 10 onward have most likely worn off by now, with people increasingly seeing him as overrated. Not just that, but people have also started to think that all his running gags and general nonchalant humor have been getting quite stale, people often noting it as predictable, despite its versatility. This, as well as the fact that he's a meaner character this season, essentially dooms him to having 1 or 2 episodes left before elimination. Maybe even leaving next episode, which honestly sucks considering he's my favorite BFDIA contestant. Yeah, so I wrote this before I found out that a certain someone was rigging the votes to keep him in, so there's now a chance that he's going to be eliminated in the next episode. Thanks a lot.
Huh. Winning for myself.
Since the latest episode, the central question relating to Needle's character has now become, was the realization that she could win for herself too late, or is it right on time? If it was too late, she'll likely be finale cuffed. If right on time, she might make it to the finale and could possibly win the season. So that's all the contestants. But before I end the video, let me provide my take on something. Trust me, it's related, just hear me out. Hopefully we can all agree that one of the biggest flaws with BFDI fans is that they're unable to not blame reasonable plots or eliminations on others. Yes, this is more TPOT centric, but it still has to do with eliminations, which fit the topic of this video. Anyway, for example, when Gady, Robot Flower, or Pin is out, it's Tree's fault. If BFDIA's Pin gets 2 immunities, it's the result of rider bias. Maybe, just maybe, there are actually valid reasons other than it being the fault of other people. Think Pencil, Nickel, and Pin, all in BFDIA. They got their immunities because the riders didn't want them out yet when they obviously would be. Pencil, for example, won immunities due to being unfairly disliked for her current post-IDFB self, even though the personality derailment hasn't canonically happened yet. In Nickel's case, they probably needed him for the shift because I can't think of anything else at the moment. In Pin's case, the writers are still in the final stretches of giving her a reason to heavily dislike BFDIA. On the opposite side of the spectrum are Death Pact yet again and Book. I already stated why the writers don't hate Book, so I'll put his TLDR on screen. As for DPYA, it was bad luck that the non-Death Pact Again members got out. They didn't plan for that. I assume they lost 3 times because they didn't have a single rejoiner or debuter on their team. And I assume this to get their quota done the fastest. And by quota, I mean all team swap teams have been projected to lose 3 members each. Death Pact yet again have lost Gady, Pin, and Robot Flower. Team 2 have lost Eraser and Ice Cube. Bagged have lost Basketball and Needle. And Cloudy A is losing 2 members to add on to Barf Bag. Following this projection, I predict that Team 2 and Bagged will lose in TPOT 17, assuming no merge takes place. A TPOT prediction in a BFDIA video? I've done a disservice to the best season. Sigh. Anyway, that is it for why every BFDIA contestant got out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you'd like. I plan to shift away from BFDI content after 2 more commentary videos and will soon start creating my own object show content. So, until next time, I'm out.